Welcome to This Explainer. Look, today we're doing something, well, entirely different. To really truly dissect the mechanics of manipulation, I'm not just going to sit here and describe our subject to you from afar. No, I'm stepping right into the ashes. I'm going to speak to you as the subject himself. Think of this as a masterclass in ruin. So picture it. Look at you, little songbird, sitting out there in the audience, clutching that gilded lute of yours like a few sweet chords are actually going to shield you from the stench of this dying world. You're sitting there, wide-eyed, eager to learn, but trust me, you are entirely unprepared for the darkness of this lesson.
You sing of, honor, valorous dawns, and you're singing this to a crowd that is literally starving. I can hear it, your voice cracking under the weight of a hope that, let's face it, rotted in the sun a long time ago. You honestly believe your art lifts people up, right? Well, let me give you the harsh truth. You aren't some grand shaper of souls. You're a court jester performing for a graveyard. You're just entirely too frightened to look down at the shattered teeth of the martyrs paving the very road you're walking on. You sing of the heroes. I orchestrate their downfall.
Okay, let's dive into this. Act 1. The proscenium of ash.
Now, this is the stage we operate on. It's the grand divide between your rotting, naive hope and the grim, dark reality of my design. You see, the traditional storyteller, you, operates onto this bizarre delusion that the world actually wants to be saved. But in this theater of ruin, oh, I understand the world simply wants to be directed. Let's dismantle the grand illusion, shall we? You fancy yourself a traditional bard, a keeper of lore. You claim to be a quote-unquote mediator of reality, preserving cultural memory, turning history into myth so past triumphs live forever. How quaint. Me? I am the architect of lies. I don't preserve history. I distort the whole shebang. I'm a weaver of propaganda. I actually get that the past is just raw material. It's clay. Clay I can reshape to influence the future for my own personal gain. So while you're busy preserving the hero's journey, I'm completely rewriting it to serve my own ends.
Which brings us to Act 2, the Twisted Epiphany.
So the crucial point is this. This is the moment of realization, the turning point in our little grim fable where you finally, maybe, start to grasp the actual mechanics of influence. I see the way you look at me. Oh, for sure, you envy the way the crowd just kneels when I speak. That absolute power I hold over their minds. Yet, you don't have the stomach for the dark mastery it takes to actually bow them to your will. While you waste your breath fighting for objective truth, I recognize that truth is just a carcass, and it's a carcass that can be dressed up in literally any silk I choose. Stories aren't these sacred vessels of morality. No way. They are tools for systemic dominance. A narrative is only as valuable as the control it gives you. As the architect of lies, I know that what actually happened matters so much less than what people can be convinced to believe happened.
Let's define my absolute favorite weapon. The traditional bard uses the word to inspire courage, right? To incite some noble rebellion or give people emotional catharsis. Well, I employ something way more potent. The twisted word. We're talking the absolute mastery of gaslighting, rumor-mongering, and demagoguery. I don't waste a single second trying to inspire people. Inspiration is fleeting. Instead, I incite fear. I incite jealousy, I incite division, because these are the primal forces that actually bind a society to my will.
Let me walk you through my methodology of ruin, step by step. The exact recipe I use to unmake the very heroes you just spent decades immortalizing. It starts with step 1, the whispered rumor. Just one, perfectly placed lie. It acts like a narrative toxin seeping right into the public consciousness. Then, step 2, exploiting insecurities. I find those tiny hairline fractures in a leader's psyche. And finally, step 3, character assassination. Honestly, this process is vastly more effective than any physical weapon. With just a few calculated whispers, I can take a king's legendary love and twist it into a paranoid, violent fever dream until he destroys his own kingdom from the inside out.
Now what's really interesting here is the stark psychological difference between us. It's laid bare. On your side, the traditional storyteller is driven by empathy and curiosity. You actually care about the people you sing to. Crazy, I know. But over on my side, it's pure narcissism and an insatiable desire for control. Look, we're both highly charismatic. We both possess deep psychological insight into the human condition. But me, I possess a complete lack of empathy. I don't use my insight to connect with the target. Actually, scratch that. I do connect, but solely to find their deepest insecurities and violently exploit them.
Moving on to Act 3, the Symphony of the Damned.
Your little instrument plays sweet melodies, right? Mere vibrations in the air. Your songs are pale echoes, hollow whispers that completely lack the brutal truth required to actually move men in a world drowning in ash. You're playing for a world that simply doesn't exist anymore. But I play for the damned who stand right in front of me. Behold my instrument. It's strung with the gut of traitors, and its resonance is perfectly tuned to the dying breaths of forgotten kings. I am a grim-dark bard, a scavenger of misery, thriving on the emotions of the condemned. You're out here offering a completely useless boon of life to people who have already been swallowed whole, consumed by the whale's belly of this dark age. I, however, grant them the only honest thing left, a masterpiece of grief. It's this symphony of agony that gives them the dark strength to endure the unendurable void that, well, I helped create.
Let's look at our true roles in any great narrative. You serve as the witness, the moral chronicler who faithfully records the hero's journey, handing the audience a neat little ethical framework. But I am the corrupter. I'm the poisonous advisor whispering right into the ear of power. I create this sprawling world of paranoia where absolutely nothing can be taken at face value. I make sure that by the time your precious hero even arrives, the very concept of morality has already been completely inverted.
So I leave you to gaze upon the lesser performer's folly. Look at the ashes of your legacy, pale echoes of song, blind envy of my dark mastery, rhymes that are utterly lacking in moving truths, just a hollow whisper of a legacy. Meanwhile, with a charming smile, I sell hope to the masses, knowing full well it is a completely useless commodity. And the crazy part? They buy it. They buy the chains I forged for them because I make them sound like a lullaby. Your mastery is literally nothing compared to the alchemy of ruin.
And here we are, Act 4, the final curtain. And this brilliantly illustrates how the climax of our grim fable is coming into sharp focus. Our time on this stage of Ash is drawing to a close, and the reality of my design is absolute. So go back to your myths, little lore keeper. Scurry away and record my dark name in the margins of your fading scrolls if it brings you some pathetic measure of comfort. Because the most terrifying weapon is not the sword, it's the story told to justify its use. Think about it. A blade can only cut flesh, but a manipulated narrative? That can butcher entire generations. In this world of Ash, I control the justification, and therefore, I control the swords.
Map out this timeline with me. Let's look at the alchemy of ruin in action. For decades past, you laboriously immortalized heroic deeds. Great job! Then, at midnight, I release the whispered lie, and it spreads like wildfire. By dawn, the past is entirely rewritten in the minds of the public. And the future? Oh, your quote-unquote heroic deeds will be remembered as nothing more than the tragic fables of a madman. I am the ultimate manipulator of perception. What took you a lifetime to build, I unmake in a single night.
So, I have to ask you, staring directly into the abyss, can your silver strings produce a sonata of agony that can bolster a doomed charge, or completely shatter a man's mind? Can your empathetic art, your desperate clinging to the truth, actually endure the unendurable void of the reality I've meticulously crafted? I submit to you that it absolutely cannot. Empathy is a vulnerability. Control is absolute.
The play has ended. In this theater of ruins, I am the only one who actually realizes the truth. The heroes you worshipped are now perceived as villains, and the world is finally mine to conduct. So I'll leave you, the focused learner, with this final, unsettling thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. In a world where the twisted word holds such immense power, who is truly writing your history? Thank you for exploring this dark fable with me today. Until next time, keep questioning the stories you're told.